back in early seasons of Series E. Now Slepon taking a lot of damage, and I may
Even shots are starting to connect with what he does, and they're going down Sung, making the thing sang right there.
As he hopped back on with Nerf. Nerf looking like they want to close in another fight. Forsey with the shots, and goodbye to
on this doorway and those windows, and they should be able to fight it out. Meanwhile, Intel getting into another battle, clear way across the map. Intel breaking.
Mike and Knight are getting aggressive. They got first knock. Actually, Z Davis once again with that charge rifle, but Bronzy.
No, Eccentric from above as well.
You see what Eccentric's up to. They're making the flank on down below. Touch P1. Could have becoming 3 now. It's a 2-on-2 situation. Maybe a 2-on-1. It is a 2-on-1.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome here to Series E Apex Legends. It's our favorite time of the month, I guess. I'm going to bump over here. I'm not quite centered on that one. It's patch week, guys, which means things are a little up in the air. We're figuring things out as we go. But we are here and hopefully running some games here tonight on Series E. My name is Yeso. I'm joined by my very good friend, Zephyr. He's on the board. I don't know what that leaderboard is. But what's up, Zephyr? How we doing, buddy?
How you doing, Yeso? It has been a hot minute since I've gotten to hang out with you guys here at Esports Arena, so I'm more than happy to be back. And even right now, in this very, very special moment of, I would say, chaos, with the teams we're about to see. There they are.
Yeah, that is the crop of squads we will see here today. 18 teams today. Shout out to the teams coming through, too. I know we were trying to figure some stuff out on the back end. Little bit of short notice for them, but they came in clutch, jumping in with us here, and hopefully we can get 4 games in. That is the plan for tonight. If everything goes according to plan, we'll get 4 games in here and just try and speed run through it. It'll be 4 games on Worlds Edge if everything goes according to plan. So we'll see how things shake out. But definitely, quite a few names that you folks will recognize and know very well. Also, some ones that you may not know as well if you're not a big EMEA fan, but I know they're ones that'll be very familiar here to our favorite gremlin, Zephyr.
Oh my gosh, Los Corritos, Hidraka, Yuchaco! Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. Do you realize, guys? I know we're literally getting into game right now, but just to like touch on it for 2.5 seconds, this is the first time we're seeing these 2 previous squad mates actually play together again in like any tournament. I'm actually like freaking out right now. It has been over a split since we've seen these 2 play together.
Zephyr do be geeking a little bit, and he's very happy about it. Meanwhile, we check in with CLG to start things off, and Alb subbing in for the team today. No Dimmy here. Albert Lilly stepping in, and of course, Alb, a player that a lot of people have been talking about as of late, stepping away from that FaZe Clan roster after, I would say, a disappointing split from the team and looking to find greener pastures elsewhere. And I'm not going to speculate about anything with CLG because I think they have good things with Dimmy right now. But at the very least, Alb looking for something new and will be at least subbing in for the squad today.
Yeah, I always interested to see how it goes here. I like to see the fact that compositions themselves as well have started to adapt, and also things are already heating up. Outside of Epicenter, we see some of our first drops. It's one of our random squads, but the names themselves aren't random at all. Mercy Only, Crummy, Enemigo, finding what leaves to be, I believe, the last remnant of this opposing squad. Wingman shots from afar here from Enemigo to see if they can find that final knock. Find our first squad out.
Yeah, definitely not randoms. I mean, Crummy and Mercy Only, OG of Series E. Mercy Only, a Season 1 champion on Team Razor. Crummy was definitely a mainstay here through the first 3 seasons of Series E and still regularly comes back to say hello. And then, of course, Enemigo, very, very talented player. Of course, former member of that Luminosity squad that went to champs last year. And very, very talented player. Of course, also had a very strong run at Rewired Fest with Team Esports Arena, subbing in with that squad. So Enemigo, definitely a player that brings a lot to a roster. We'll have to see how this one pans out here today. But there is a look at your map, pulling very, very high to the northwest. They're up around Trials and pulling towards the west side here. We'll have to see just how far west this circle does pull, but we check in here with intel in the meantime, and that missile swarm will get the knock onto Chase. So great start to this fight for the side of intel. They're going to get the beam finish there onto Chase, and KHG elsewhere done courtesy of randoms. Looks like they finally found that last member.
Yeah, chase him down into fragment and seal the deal here, and we'll look to see if intel can maybe potentially do the same. Now, it looks like, obviously, in response, Chase and his crew have pulled away, maybe more apt in comparison, but that still leaves a whole lot of space here for this intel roster. I know we didn't particularly touch on it too deeply, but we did get to see that zone, and obviously, while this is maybe a little bit more chaotic of a lobby, the zones are, well, I would say pre-planned in some ways more than others, right? This one, hard west. We're talking the outskirts of that outside of Skyhook. That open hill you can see in perfect distance of Flinzar right now. That's where you're going to want to be, especially as you set up for the end game. And for intel, well, it seems like they've got not only that position in their sightlines, but potentially the squad as well.
Now, if memory serves, and this wasn't too long ago where we had this this conversation on the hot zone, this is pulling to possibly one of your favorite end zones, right?
Yes!
You're a big fan of those Trials endings here up in the northwestern corner of World's Edge. Can you tell the folks, if maybe they missed us talking about it last week, what is it about those Trials pulls that you're so such a fan of?
It gets right out in the open. Like here, it's completely, up to that final squad who plays the macro game, positions themselves aptly to at least walk away with the win. And it's, I think, more decisive than any other zone, and maybe as decisive as Sentinels here tonight. Obviously, Sinox, and surprisingly, we've got Aiden and Naughty. Maybe not the usual crew you're used to, but they're still finding success with damage like this. Big follow through on those micro drones, and as that horizon takes to the sky, they're still finding quite a bit. MJ with that first knockdown, Naughty with the rotation from behind. It looks like Center ready to seal the deal.
Yeah, they quickly wipe out Mike and Ike there, and honestly, just a wonderful start there from Aiden, getting up to the high ground. Great shots with the flat line to get that early break on the shields there of Mike and Ike, and then the support comes through, and Naughty had already laid down some smokes to protect their left side. So I think really well played there by Sentinels, and this is in, I'll say organization, hard to say team with the kind of mix of players we have today, but an organization that I think a lot of people are going to have their eyeballs on going into the next split of Pro League, right? This is one of those teams that has to battle with relegation. What is their fate going to be in Pro League next split? They have to kind of answer some questions, because this is a team that rightfully has gotten some scrutiny, and it all started with that big TSM contest in the offseason as TSM was looking to move away from Fragment, and Sentinels has yet to recover, and they still have some work to do.
Well, we'll see how they match up, maybe even right now, right, with that redeploy, or my apologies, balloon down. They'll run into Team Ops or OPS here, and maybe if you're a fan of Apex, you'll recognize some of these names. They're not players, but behind the scenes, they are big. Minus Tempo, TSM's manager. Chrono, who is obviously not only the co-owner and creator of Oversight, but also was a part of FaZe behind the scenes. And you may not know KJ Castleberry, but he's actually a moderator on Snipe Downstream, and they've come together as this trio, and we'll see how much of the big brains behind the scenes can actually find potentially some wins here.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like Minus Tempo may or may not have some interesting replies based on the way that they're able to play here tonight. Of course, definitely a big pillar of the Apex Legends community, and that partnership between himself and Chrono has been doing wonderful things over at Oversight, and fun to get to see them playing here today. We'll have to see how it shakes out. They have sightlines on one player. Minus Tempo getting beamed down to a single health, is going to get away for the time being. Chrono here with that 30-30 covering for the time being. Minus Tempo going to be able to get the battery off, looking to get that white health back here as well. That med kit going to help with that certainly, but an ultimate going to come through from an enemy Bangler will push them off of the high ground of this position, but for the time being, they're all still up and healthy.
more than up and healthy, also finding potentially damage back here. Meanwhile, in that kill feed, Luminosity does find AOC down. Two of our, well, at least more highlighted teams that we usually see in Pro Night. For Sentinels, still trying to find this push. Rotation from Synexon with his height here. Maybe potentially that first knock drop down. Chrono, KJ, the last one remaining being that of minus tempo. Running, trying to escape straight for Fragment and behind the fence line for now. But I'll tell you what, Sentinels will not let this one rest.
Yep, that will be minus tempo finished off there by Aiden. So OPS all done. Meanwhile, we're checking in with Luminosity. They've already got a knock here onto Ridge, and they are hunting here. The Bloodhound scan giving them all the information they need. They'll lay down the grenades here inside of this truck and flush out these players. Shields broken on the Seer there by Pistillo. Backs away, and Jaguares is going to get the knocks, the finishes, and Bochi the Rock are done for game one.
Yeah, but Luminosity may be done here as well. Esports Arena coming right across here to the same truck and looking to chase this one down. Luminosity are trying to take back down to the low ground into the village below here, but these cracks and that following at least full wipe doesn't bode well for this roster. Jaguaras down means that there is only Yanya left to survive right now. Where they have ended up, a major question, but I believe, yeah, definitely running far and off away. Currently playing, notably, the Octane. So if there's, I guess, any better legend to get it done with speed and fervor and maybe to catch those banners, it's a pick like this.
Yeah, definitely on the run here, and we'll have to see if Yanya even elects to go for those death boxes, because ESA certainly can opt to protect and kind of sit on them here for a little bit to deny the redeploy. They also just may go for the aggressive push, but that mobility will be very helpful if Yanya elects to try and go for the resurrection here. But for the time being, ESA very much know the general direction that Yanya headed in, and they're looking to cover those angles as best they can and ensure that this Octane doesn't come running back in here. But Yana, at the very least, thinking about it, but is going to be spotted out the car up to the high ground. Not going to get a lot done. Immediately going to drop that jump pad. Escapes for the time being, but that one last shot from Phony will finish it off. ESA on top. Your kill leader is Phony.
ESA here now going to start to slowly rotate in, obviously, with all the KP in the world. Those kill leaders in the lobby right now. Obviously, I will say, Luminosity do very well in that game and are going to put up, I think, maybe at least 6 points with their double team wipe. But for now, obviously, they'll have to reapproach in our later games here. For CLG, they've already started to approach this western end, where this pull decisively usually ends up. And right now, finding good damage on a redeploy here. That's the full knock onto Flinzar down in the sky.
Yeah, shout out to Mamba finishing that off. Great shots from Alb early on, catching sight of that Valkyrie ultimate and getting a lot of value with that G7 scout at long range. And then Mamba able to get that just last little bit to bring Intel crashing back down. And now doesn't look like they're going to over-aggress for these kills to finish anything off. They've already got 4 KP for the squad so far, and 11 squads remaining. So they're going to take the slow approach here. They do see that Seer ultimate up high, and also with this R301, they've got some good range to poke away at these players.
Yeah, for now, they don't have to go for the push. Obviously, they have a little bit of zone control with even Nano, of course, and Mamba already starting to posture into next zone pull. Obviously, I like this attention towards the south side. You will have teams that might rotate through the fissure area, so that should definitely be the focus for now. Meanwhile, 11th place, no hands eliminated. Looks like at none other, the Vice of Tech here coming through. I believe Tech playing with a very interesting roster as well tonight, currently being that, I believe, of Nasky and Urban, another 2 duo from, I believe, EMEA.
Yeah, quite an eclectic little combination of those 3 players, but certainly names that we know very well. Meanwhile, we check in here with Sentinels and Naughty with the Red Evo, just trying to cover these stairs, that Newcastle wall blocking the entrance from these players, and that means a little bit of safety for the time being here from Sentinels. The Dark Veil as well does a lot of work. Stunny going to get knocked there by Naughty, and Naughty trying to buy a little bit of time, able to get the knock, goes for the bat here. Plenty of sustain here for the team. Senox is down, though, so it looks to be a 2v2. The res going to come through for the time being. Not a lot of sightlines. Naughty laying down all of those smokes, but plenty of KP for the squad.
Looks like they break down that door, but not before. Of course, Senox is back up and ready to play. Now, obviously, might have saw the drop follow through and potentially that revive as well. But as we see this member aggress onto the second floor, the beamage from Naughty to potentially find that next drop. Castle Wall providing a source of defense right here. Naughty gonna have to play against it all as that Nox gas grenade does begin to force them back with the tick. And I think this might be a third-party esoteric down. Naughty with the wingman swooping to the outside, doesn't find the drop, and instead it is randoms coming through here to finish the job.
What a beautiful little bait there, by the way, setting up as that player comes running out the door, and they know that Naughty wants to come for the chase. The shields are broken there, but they have the player perfectly set up that as soon as the peek comes there, they're able to immediately get the double peek out and finish them off, and Sentinels are done. But that is still a very good first game here. Double-digit KP for the squad. They get inside of the top 10. Not a ton of placement points, but at the very least, they'll be around that 13 to kind of 16 point mark here as they go into game number 2, and that's the kind of start you want to have, especially when we're only looking at 4 games potentially. Meanwhile, Intel, we were looking at them earlier, they got heavily punished by CLG, and for the time being, it is just Icy left alive for the squad.
Yeah, I was about to say, this has kind of been a long time coming for that roster, and we'll see if they do manage to survive. On the outside here is none other than the squad we were talking about. Now, obviously, it looks like the roster did see some minor changes in between what was the initial building of it. Lucky and Decipher joining Tech's crew here to run it down with Revenant and see if they can last. They have this kind of great position for the end game. Obviously, we talked about this one being a hard pull to the west side of Trials, but they themselves having complete control of this kind of little bit of space, as well as the tower, which can be so good as you watch all these teams try to rotate in.
And this is a tower that reminds me so much of Team Esports Arena when Fury was playing on the squad. I remember when they kind of first came under that banner and really got things going. They loved to play this western edge, and so many times they would come over here with the Loba, Craver in hand, and punish teams when these circles pulled up to the northwest. And Revenant doing much the same. Great range here, 30-30 with the 2x for Decipher. And they've got so much zone control, right? You've got all the Watson fences down to prevent any sort of easy push in below them, because of course that's the position that teams want to get in. When you're holding the high ground on these towers, teams want to get below you. Those sightlines are not easy, and they can punish you when you come down from the high ground based on a zone pull. But Revenant have set up all the resources that they need. They're in a very strong position for the time being, and this zone continues to pull towards them. I think they're going to be very happy with where they've set up.
Yeah, we'll have to see. Obviously, we know for a fact that there's a large spacing coming out of Trials that is going to provide double angles here on Team Revenant when it gets to that end game. 16 seconds to go to this round close, and height as well as these housings will be still slightly available on this next push. So the decision making here absolutely crucial in where they focus their attention, because you turn your back for 2 extra seconds, and it doesn't matter if a team can't kind of walk into this area. They still can shoot from afar and find that first drop, which could spell the end.
Yeah, and the big question will be, is there a team with that Valk ultimate available? Maybe kind of go for the hero play and try and just ult up on top of the tower, right? Revenant playing on the low ground right now, which means there is an opportunity. Now, granted, they will likely have a very good opening to take shots onto said team as they ult in. But if a team can get that Valkyrie redeploy and get on top of Revenant, that could also be a very strong position, because then they know with all the Watson fences set up, there's only one team to deal with as we check in with Team Esports Arena on top of Trials.
Coming in here, it looks like they were on the contest. Banner is recovered by Phony, going for that nice drop in pairing with something we don't see often, that Wraith Portal. Phony back on down, landing immediately into the portal, just trying to see what kind of nifty damage he could potentially pull off in that last split second before its removal here. Now, obviously... we're talking about no kind of angles there, but I'll tell you what, they get the job done. I wish this is one of the few times that I am severely questioning. It says lit but with a J and Jim but with an H. I wonder who that may be.
Yeah, I do not remember off the top of my head who we had listed in those roster spots coming in, but things may have changed, so who knows. But at the very least, ESA looking solid in this first game. Very tough rotation, and also having to play now as only a 2-man will make this last 5-squad fight very difficult, as they've actually gotten caught here by CLG. Alb with that PK doing work, and ESA is done.
They're done for now, but it looks like there's more duos to go here. Randoms following up on this position that we just saw from ESA. Now, obviously, they'll have that height to drop down on in just a second. Team Revenant, though, hearing some of these shots, they roll up into a position where they might be able to spy out CLG, but it seems like they've pulled back for now. Something to admit, though, is the fact that no matter what, whether it's between Randoms or CLG, both are about to lose out on that height and the safety of Trials here. And Revenant might be able to punish. Big question on that last remaining roster, though. Might be on the inside. Might be this contest, Rams versus CL.
Yeah, I was about to ask, who is that 4th squad and where are they? And it appears like CLG may just have found them. They're going to rotate out here, immediately get hit by that Revenant silence as they come out the door. So Alberlele, with a little less utility available to them, is going to throw out every nade in their arsenal here. Not going to get any damage, but is going to get their shred here with the RE45. But one teammate going down. It's all up to Alb here for CLG, and they are done. CLG out. Purple Dragon still alive, however, and they've now got the high ground.
They probably did exactly what you said here. ST with that potential redeploy straight for height. Ordinances may rain through, but they are still providing such a source of cover here against the Rock for now. All 3 members, I wonder, is this Revenant? Did they rotate back into this position?
But where's Randoms is the question for me now, because they played up to the top of Trials, but it looks like maybe they didn't follow the same path.
Oh my god.
There's your answer. They're just hoping that these 2 squads will fight it out.
The fight happens now. Yeah. Well, they're done. Congratulations. Revenant and them likely to be our final 3v3 fight here. And honestly, what I really want to see, it's the question against it all. That totem. Does Tech got it? Are they going to go for the onslaught? Are they going to push for the rush here with this zone close?
The hard part is it's too late to totem now unless you can push up and get a more tenable position, because the last thing you want is to push with the totem and then respawn out in the zone. That's going to be, it'll basically insta-tick you, so there is not really a great position here for Sentinels to use that totem unless they can get down underneath the tower, but that's a huge crack there for Tech with the R301.
Good source of damage. No. Randoms eliminated. It's a 2v2 situation. We see what looks like Purple Dragon giving up their height in this final moment. It is up to Tech to 2v1. No totem, no cover, no tacticals to work with, no shields whatsoever, but a distance, a beam, a dream left alive here. A 1v1 situation, and why not walk it forward with the med kit? Just try to keep it alive here. Hiding behind the tactical. That's not cover. That's not nothing. Purple Dragon, you're winners of game 1.
There's so many things about that endgame that I love and hate at the same time. Throwing out the silence to actually just try and block visibility to get that medkit off. Actually, Galaxy Brain, I thought that was such a sweet move there by Tech. What I don't like is how do you get that initial knock and then lose the straight 2v2 when Tech is basically also behind you, not missing shots. Like, that is not a fight that they should have lost at all. That's like, Purple Dragon should not have won that game, but ultimately they clutched it out.
I will say, at the end of the day, height is definitely something that provides much of an advantage here. And for all of our teams, potentially something greater. Let's take a look, though, at our Mobile One high-performance moment of the game. See who comes out on top, and why not? I knew it was going to be this final moment here. Purple Dragon with the win, but like you said, the Galaxy Brain decision-making by Tech to see if he could potentially pull it off.
Yeah, I mean, this is Tech, again, just absolutely beaming, but unfortunately, Lucky and Decipher not able to get enough out of that 2v2 push. They both go down, and now it's just all up to Tech. And Tech does a great job here. Gets a second knock, and again, I love this. Laying down the silence to try and just make that sightline so difficult, hoping that they don't see him and he can get off the med kit, and is a 10th of a second off of getting it through. who knows if it makes a difference in that fight, but I thought that was a pretty sweet little play there, but unfortunately for himself and the rest of the squad, it is Purple Dragon that come out on top with the win here in game number 1. And that brings us to our Mobile One leaderboard and seeing where all of these teams stand. We looked at quite a few that got some solid points here in game 1. LG was one of the ones that you highlighted. They take 7 points. ESA with a solid 9. And CLG with a great showing. They're at 13. They were very scrappy in this first game of the day.
Notably, Team Revenant, who does end up finishing second there, they come off of that 9-point accumulation with placement, but only had picked up 3 KP. As a result, there are 4 other squads who sit ahead of them. Notably, yes, our winners, Purple Dragon, but the likes of Randoms as well, who go down in third. That game alone nets them 9 KP overall, likely the highest in the lobby potentially.
Very, very big game there from Randoms and quite a few other squads. And that'll make things interesting going into game number 2. A reminder, we're only doing 4 games here tonight. A little bit of a shorter run, but should be very exciting. We're going to have game number 2 on the other side of this break. Don't go far, folks. More Series Z when we return.
What am I to do with this? To the top of the game and it's scared, but I'm finna handle it. Break it down like an analyst. I'll be loading up, they wanna package this. Pray for peace, pacifist. I'm never old enough to give a promise.
Tyson boneless buffalo bites have that tasty kick of flavor, so they're perfect for any get-together. If there are any left when your guests arrive. Tyson Anytizers Chicken. More kicks of flavor, more smiling snackers, more to love. Tyson.
Welcome back, folks. Getting ready for game number 2 here for Series Z Apex Legends tonight. Zephyr, I'm Yeso. We're ready to get into the fun. A very interesting first game, pretty scrappy as well. It's interesting. We are at 18 teams, not quite at 20, so you do tend to see just a little less action in the early game because there's just that much more space for teams to spread out, grab that early game loot, but really felt like a lot of teams didn't much care about that because this one was just scrappy from drop until finish. And it made for a pretty fun first game of the day.
Yeah, I was about to say, you said, there's not many teams in the lobby, and that leads to, more time in the early game to loot it up. It felt like it never stopped, that game. I didn't even notice, that we were already talking zones 5 and 6, because it felt like these squads had just kind of duked it out through and through.
Yeah, they definitely scrapped their way to those later zones, and it made it entertaining, to say the very least. And, of course, we start with Purple Dragon, our winners from game number 1, taking out Tech's squad there at the end from the high ground of that tower just west of Trials, and they'll be looking to make it back-to-back here as some good early loot here for BJ, grabbing that purple shield, that purple armor to start things off. Is going to feel really good. And now they'll just be looking to put some distance between themselves in the pack because, of course, they are tied on our mobile leaderboard at 16 points after game number 1 with Randoms, who, as you mentioned earlier, finished in 3rd place with some solid KP. Now Purple Dragon want to try and pull away from the pack here because every point matters even more on a day like this when you aren't playing a full 6 games, so you really need to get as much value as you can out of every single opportunity.
I am curious when we're going to start talking about Purple Dragons in Pro League. It's already been proven at this point.
Okay,
we're ready to go.
I'm here for it, Zephyr. I'm on the hype train. You're the conductor here. Let's get it going.
Absolutely. We got our first zone as well as the secondary one on top of your map right now. Obviously, we've got some early investment down there towards the west side of Lava Fissure. And this one, I'll be honest, it leaves a lot of the countdown POI up and available. Could be a western countdown pull, could be a full eastern, and just maybe that POI direct. There is still the opportunity for this one to kind of hang back more wide towards Lava Fissure. But given how much of that, at least zone, is on countdown, I doubt that it makes its way over there. It would be a little unusual, to say the least.
Yeah, crazy that we have almost the same exact
very similar
zones here to start things off. But yeah, I mean, hey, that'll be a big benefit for Randoms. Once again, right? A lot of those teams rotating into their area last game benefited them a lot. That's a big reason why they are tied for first place going into this one. Meanwhile, LG, who was getting things rolling with some early 3v3 fights in our first game of the day, are looking to do much the same here this time around, and Measle will take a bit of a tag there early on, but the flatline shots will break the shields, and the follow-up from Yanya will take down Crazy Ninja.
And already that Octane jump pad is out here for Yanya to keep sending this one forward. A nice train of action here from Luminosity. KHG already taken down, and I don't know if I'm crazy, but this is, yes, a separate squad here for Luminosity to potentially find more. They've already dropped off height, and Yanya with that initial knock, potentially more. Oh my gosh, it's Team Revenant.
Yep, from second place to second out here, Team Revenant done early on as Yanya absolutely on the hunt here, is going to get that bat off and is going to get those kills through. Already 6 KP. So I believe those two teams, KHG and Team Revenant, were fighting, and somehow LG got all the kills from the fight.
Now at already almost close to tied with their score here. One more extra placement and they will be at 7 points. And potentially they might hit it right now. They've got a squad lying in wait just ahead of them. Double shields broken here. Luminosity potentially about to pick up 9 KP.
Yeah, this is a hell of a start for them. That's going to be the knock onto Takina, and they're just going to chase right back into Geyser. This is the area they just came from, chasing down Team Revenant and KHG. They're headed right back south. They do not care about that zone pulling up to the northwest. They are out for blood right now. The shield's already broken on this Wraith, who is just trying to get away from Yanya, but it's an Octane. You cannot run from this man. As elsewhere, ESA getting into the mix. As Bochi the Rock, they're done once again. That's 8 KP for the squad.
And it looks like it's actually ESA who pick up the other half of Bochi the Rock here. Now turn their attentions to Luminosity. They've got big KP. They've beaten their score from last game, but now they actually have to survive. ESA is not a squad you want to tussle with, even if we aren't exactly sure what this roster is looking like. Exhibit down with those micro-drone scans here. They're going to see if they can try to take angles on this squad ahead.
Yeah, they're going to see what kind of information they can gather. Also important to note, right, you're running the double scan composition here with the Bloodhound and the Seer, so plenty of information for the team to work with this time around. Going to be very difficult to escape and hide from this squad with all the scans they have at their disposal. And it looks like Phony just going to pick up some extra loot off of that death box, and they're looking to maybe play the long con here, really go the wide angle around this squad. They don't seem to have any desire to fight straight up with LG right now, but LG might be looking to contest. They're trying to kind of gather some information here. They also have plenty of rotation tools if they want to play this hard edge style. You've got the Octane, you've got the Pathfinder, so there are plenty of abilities for this team to close the gap towards that zone if they want to play aggressive, but it seems like at this point they're ready to get out of here and get headed up to that northwest corner.
We'll see where they position themselves. I obviously am on the same path as you here, Ye. So I like the fact that this composition is all about aggression, scanning, tracking down, and getting in the face of some of these, well, maybe weaker squads to just rack up as much KP as possible in this kind of reduced lobby. Now for LG, though, they still are competing to make their way back into zone. Thankfully for them, it still extends all the way as far as Eastern Frag. Potentially right here where Mike and Ike have made their home. They don't have any kind of eyes on LG right now, and I doubt LG has eyes on them, but it could be a potential contest here and maybe a moment.
Yeah, and ultimately, I think the point you make there about, you know, this composition playing that aggressive hard edge style. It's like, if you aren't going to play that style that LG is playing right now, you just picked the wrong composition. You aren't gonna get value out of that Octane Pathfinder Bloodhound comp if you aren't looking for fights, trying to chase these teams down on the edge, because you have so many tools to close those gaps and hunt these players down. You know, if you're gonna pick these three, you shouldn't be sitting in a building in Skyhook right now. That's all I have to say.
Ooh, and with this shot, potentially it opens up the noise here for Luminosity, potentially, but no. They are making their way back down towards Harvester. It looks like quite a few pings here. They've got a trail, obviously abusing Jaguaras on the Blue Hollander right here. Potentially chasing after Aegon by AOC right now. Crafting and Harvester, potentially the next prey lying in wait for Luminosity.
And it doesn't look like Aegon is under any sort of indication that there's a team nearby. They do throw down that smoke to give themselves a little bit of safety here on the Crafter, but LG has all the information that they need here, and this is going to be very punishing if they can catch up to this Aegon squad before they get away from this Crafter. And they're here in the perfect time. The smokes are down, but it's not going to much matter with this Bloodhound scan available to them. Jaguar is going to get in a good position, hits the ultimate, and here they come, 61 on the first. And here comes Yanya, the beams with the R301, and goodbye Kickits.
It's almost immediately it occurs, that first drop. Gonna take the time to heal this one up as Nizel and Jaguaras, they front for the rest of it. And the minute Yanya is back to full health, he slides through, and it almost felt like collateral with the 301.
You know, look, this isn't ALGS Split 1 playoffs, right? I'm not reading too much into this performance, but you can see shades of why Dia is such a big LG fan. Yanya playing confidently, aggressively on this Octane. You know, we can only hope that maybe it comes out on land if we're really, really lucky. Very unlikely to happen, but LG, man, when they're on their game, they're so much fun.
It's like, are they on their game? It's not even the LG that we typically recognize.
True.
I think they're having just as much fun as we are right now, though. We take a look at Circle, and I think it's all said and done for LG. Their hunt has come to an end. Everyone who has lied on the outskirts of this zone are likely not to be capitalized on for quite some time. We're heading towards Northwest Countdown.
And somehow ESA snuck past them. Look on the eastern edge of your map. ESA headed south, and somehow they've been able to finagle their way around LG and avoid that straight fight, because they did not want it at Geyser. And with LG rotating south to Harvester, I thought they might run into ESA, but it seems like they just passed like ships in the night, my friend, and they will head on very different paths here over towards this next zone.
Yeah, and obviously ESA, they might be the first one to take it up against another squad there. You can see the tower north of Landslide already contested, but obviously there's multiple routes in store here for them to potentially take. But obviously, no rotational tools such as the Valkyrie or even the Horizon, that secondary mobility kind of a legend that you sometimes see here. And the minute they see that tower, you can already see they're trying to approach maybe upwards towards the tunnel into Skyhook, where they know they're going to find a spot to at least call their home.
Yep, and no surprise, they'll get tagged a little bit here going for the rotation through the tunnel, but it is, for the time being, a safe rotation, and of course, as we already mentioned, they're running that double scan comp, so they will have a lot of information as they go for this push further north, and they are going to run into Sentinels in here. So ESA, they've got to pick their poison. They're either going to battle on the tower or here in the tunnel, and it looks like they've chosen the tunnel here, as that's going to be an early beam there on that catalyst. But I mean, Jim can't see anything. That's gonna be naughty with the knock here, and ESA's in trouble. You're caught between a rock and a hard place, boys. Can you get out of this?
Now the squad obviously moving up from tower to potentially maybe come through in third party. This phony and lit, but with the J already on the escape back out here, potentially even to take angles on this tower squad. Up towards the truck for now. They are surviving. Meanwhile, back towards Luminosity. They're the next third party to come in on this fight. Our tower squad getting caught from behind. It is Chaos in Flames down in 14th, and maybe even potentially maybe either ESA or what could be Sentinels here. That's Sentinels.
And somehow, amidst all this chaos, Esports Arena isn't the first team out. They were in the worst position there, and two of those players survive for the time being. Chaos and Flames, the team that was holding the tower there, get caught in a bad spot as LG come in for the push, and Yanya going to take that deep jump pad out into the zone. Still early enough, though, not going to be very punishing, and they even have the zip line here to get them further south to maybe a safer spot to get back into the zone, and they're going to take it. LG get up, they pick up a few more KP, they rotate right back out, and they're in a solid spot once again.
Wow, okay, all right. So, I mean, I like that decision there. Meanwhile, as we pull back towards the tower here in Landslide, it looks like it has been taken over. Now, granted, I don't know if this was a move in from Sentinels or potentially someone else, but it doesn't seem like Luminosity want anything to do with it. They know that they are starting to get held out on some of these zones, and it's obviously the next priority on their mind.
Yep. Meanwhile, elsewhere, CLG and Mike and I were duking it out. Al was able to get a couple of knocks onto, I believe, Silent and MJ, so it looks like maybe Wizard Coin might be the only remaining member of that Mike and I squad for the time being. Meanwhile, Sentinels looking to rotate north out of the tunnel, getting gated for the time being. They have that 1 KP they were able to pry out of ESA's hands there, but no safety up to the north as they were being gate kept here by Esoteric. So they're going to go for the southern rotation. We'll see if they run into LG here very soon. As Esoteric, they're going to head out west. They want to get to this zone very quickly.
Back towards Sentinels, out from the tunnel here. Looks like they're going to be trying to play this on the, at least, silos of Countdown for the next possible moment. There is a squad there. That might be ESA, and with a final shot sustained by, it looks like, Luminosity, ESA are, in fact, eliminated here. Another squad, obviously, in the building ahead, but we know Luminosity is down here on the south side. Behind the silos, they will try to stick those batteries, and yes, they will find them, but we know they are potentially pinched right now.
Yep, and that was what I was trying to tease there, right? You might run into LG going through this rotation. ESA once again getting caught in that pinch between two squads as Sentinels had to go back to the south and rotate in right behind them. LG taking some damage here, but able to get the res through. Yanya going to stay alive for the time being, and the smokes will cover their backside for the moment. They can heal up just a little bit here and buy some time, as I believe Sentinels still in an okay spot. I don't think anybody on that side got knocked, so we'll see how things shake out. Meanwhile, no hands taken out. Intel getting a little scrappy elsewhere on the map here, but it's starting to get very busy here in Countdown with 11 squads remaining.
We got this redeploy that just came through here, and Luminosity had looked to take advantage, but immediately Niesel taking a huge chunk of damage that prevents their rotation forward. It is CLG who is likely now defending from the interior. That's Esoteric coming through from Skyhook, and they are picked apart from both sides. And our friends Midas Tempo and Chrono, they share the same fate here as Luminosity now. They're swooping in to potentially take it toe-to-toe, yes, against CLG.
Yeah, OPS a little deeper into the game this time around. We'll see if they can keep improving on that as the day continues. Meanwhile, Niesel able to get a knock here, and that's already 16 KP for the squad of LG. They're looking for more. I mean, this could potentially be, if LG wins this game, 25 KP is not like an unreasonable number for the squad. Yanya is popping off almost 1,500 damage, 9 kills so far, 18 total for the team. LG is on the warpath.
And by the way, they have just built their position into this next zone, and as we tune back in with Sentinels, it looks like they got their free rotation as well. It looks like Wizardcoin, the first member to drop here of Mike and Ike on the interior of this little building. Sentinels may look to push. The gas does find its damage in return, but with cracks like that, they make short work of two. Kupski, Joey Blackout down. A return onto Aiden for now. Nadi looking to finish the job they started, but now having to deal with less members. Senox also eliminated, swinging for the interior. He knows he just has to pull this one off. A switch to the wingman, finds it behind the knockdown shields. Throw hands are done here, but Sentinels, can they get the revives?
I love it. Nadi, such a talented player. Unfortunately, is going to get caught, though, by the push of LG. LG could smell blood in the water. They did not hesitate. As soon as they were weak, they get in here. They're going to take out Purple Dragon as well. We're up to 21 KP so far, and still 4 other teams that can bleed. Intel is done as well, and here comes LG looking for more.
Already back up here, Jaguars. They drop to the low ground. They find the last member of CLG hidden below. Back up onto Hike. They know they've got a team on their backside, but they've got to regroup. Officially, from this moment forward, every team left standing in the lobby is a full trio here. Luminosity with a slight recovery, but they know they have height over this squad below. But obviously, Zone pulling back a little bit further towards the edge of Countdown here. You don't want to get third-partied. I mean, I know Luminosity have all the points in the world. They're leading coming out of this game, absolutely. But we want to see the win. We want to see the win, Yeso.
We do, and I was saying, hey, you know, 25 might be a reasonable number in a win. I mean, they're going to chase 30. They have to wipe entirely both squads to hit that 30 mark for the win.
Oh, my gosh.
That's seeming like a higher and higher possibility as this game continues. LG, this is a disgusting performance from them right now.
I think this is the highest. I have casted over 500 games of Apex. In this moment right here, this is the highest KP I have ever seen in my entire career as an Apex caster, and I'm living for it, Yeso. Here it goes.
I'm all about it too, my friend. They are going to get caught there by the gas from the opposing Caustic. They're just going to push right through. Yanya does not care. Looking for the shots. Is going to hit the purple armor there. Backs away. Has to hit a med kit here real fast on this Octane and just buy a little bit of time. So that's a very tough spot for Yanya to be in. But for the time being, LG are still in this, and they might have that Pathfinder zipline to get themselves back up to the high ground. Can they take this player out? That's Hiraka going down. You were looking for him, my friend, and there he goes.
And some of our friends from the EMEA region. It's been a long time coming, but I'm glad to see them all the way up in at least third place here. Now picked off. Steves is down as well. It's just you, Chaco, this final member here for this roster. And I'll tell you what, I think LG have at least set their fate in stone. I'm curious where this other squad is. That was potentially the prime opportunity to run in and maybe find any damage here. And actually, they are on height just across from Luminosity. That scan reveals all 4 individuals' position. A mobile shield is thrown. Yanya back on the low ground with the rest of LG for now.
Yeah, and they did use the jump pad to get back up moments ago. They should, I believe, still have the zip line available. So there are options here for LG. And of course, if that jump pad doesn't get broken, just gives them more flexibility, more moves that they can make here. But right now, they're playing the slow game. They're biding their time right now, just trying to top off their health. 26 KP to their names so far, and they want the win here. Great beam there with the flatline from Niesel.
It is punishing, but now my question is, how do you rotate out of this situation? It's a jump pad, potentially a pull to the opposite side, towards the boxes, maybe to hold out until height is partially lost here. For Luminosity, we'll see if they go for this next rush. Yeah, they're already pinging out right behind the boxes. They've got some gas traps to deal with, but I think they've got axes. I think they've got something open.
The other thing, too, is that the cooldown is so low on that jump pad. It's highly likely that Yanya already has it ready, and there we have confirmation. So LG still in a good spot. They're just trying to cover these sight lines as best they can, stay out of trouble. But Niesel is going to get caught. Jaguaris is going to get off that battery, so back up to quite a bit of health, but gets beaten pretty quickly afterwards, and LG does go down. They're going to be in first place. They're going to have had the best game in the lobby here in Game 2, but they are not going to get the win. It is Randoms trying to finish it off. They've got the 3rd place in Game 1. They'll take the win here in Game 2.
And in the final moments, Uchako goes down here at the hands of Randoms, but in this lobby, the true winner is only but one. Luminosity there in the end. I think, what was that, 26 KP
26.
to finish that off with? 26 KP and a 3rd place finish. That is a massive, 33-point game?
I mean, if we're being honest, the only the ones who won were us, the viewers.
Yeah. That's true.
We won that game because we got to watch just the insanely aggressive play from LG, playing so confident, and that was really fun to watch. Yanya was just crushing that entire game. And that brings us to our Mobile One high performance moment. Let's check out one of our best moments from that last game. We can relive just a little bit of the chaos. And of course, it's going to be a look here at LG. They just finished off Sentinels. They clean up Purple Dragon, and now they are just slamming that go button. LG looking for any KP they could possibly find. They drop down, wipe out Intel, and then don't worry, folks, it's not going to take long. Jaguaris is going to jump up to the high ground and immediately drop, because guess what? They found somebody else, and they wipe out CLG.
Oh my gosh. In that moment alone, 3 squads go down. Technically 4 if we count Sentinels. 4 squads in less than 30 seconds go down to the hands here of Luminosity. Naughty as the final member of Sentinels. 2 from Intel. 1 from CLG. A flying member of our winners from Game 1. Purple Dragon. In total, 5 KP in a blink of an eye for that roster.
Yep. LG were just going off in that game, and it was really fun to watch. And it brings us to our Mobile One leaderboard to see exactly where they are at. Shout out to Randoms having another really solid game, keeping LG within arm's reach right now, because a lot of times you look at a 26 KP performance and you're thinking, dang, they must have really pulled away from everybody. But Randoms getting that win, very important to keeping that gap close, because with only 2 games left to go, they're really going to have to get something done here in games 3 and 4, because if LG has one more game like that, I mean, we could just, we could give them the cash now, right? I don't know.
Just pay them out, all right? Said and done here. It is only a 7-point gap, though, between them and Randoms, and I am curious. Both have managed to have wild performances, although very different approaches to the two. Randoms did put up a lot of KP in Game 1, but notably, it is the placement that makes up the majority of their score. One bad game for Randoms, and it is likely all said and done, and potentially Luminosity just slams that pedal forward and they walk away with first.
I'm keeping my fingers crossed for it. I hope you folks at home are as well. Zephyr and I are going to grab a quick sip of water and get a break. But when we come back, we kick off Game 3 here of our night at Series E Apex Legends. right, everybody, we're back. It's game 3 after an absolute banger from Luminosity that they did not win. And we're on World's Edge once again, checking in with our winners from game 2. It's randoms.
Hey, when you come in, you got to say, we're back, coming from a Luminosity 33-point game. No, you got to give them credit where it's due. It was absolutely absurd there. But I have to say, we've still got a competition on our hands. Randoms, we tuned in with them, our winners of the last game, only 7 points behind Luminosity right now, and we're already past our halfway point. We've got a reduced number of games here tonight, and it seems like randoms are already potentially picking up KP.
Yeah, and this is just a random squad that looking at the the mobile and leaderboard after that last game are just going, hey, LG, can you guys just chill out after that one? Could you just relax, maybe take a breath, relax here for game 3, let us close the gap. We'll have to see. But at the very least, early knock there for Crummy onto Carlin, and that's Mercy trying to finish it off. Will be able to do so and just stopping in front of that Thermite. But they're going to be hunting for more KP here. Stunning actually going to get the knock there onto Crummy, and Mercy not able to land shots with that alternator. So now it's just a straight 2v2 for randoms.
Oh, but they're playing the Newcastle. Name a better legend to get the job done in the moment. Going to utilize that shield to potentially give some cover to Enemigo. Turning right on the outside. We'll find that knock on to Study. Right back into Esoteric. Our first squad wiped out here.
Not going to lie, looking at the early play of that, I thought that it might be too greedy to go for the res because there was a lot of early damage coming out of the other squad, but they make it happen, and randoms do survive. Now, Team Revenant, they went out early in our last game. Well, they're looking to turn around their luck, and now it's random's turn here in game number 3. They're done early on. They pick up a few KP, but it's definitely not going to close that gap with LG.
Literally, by the way, Revenant go down as the second squad after having a remarkable game, and then Randoms now go down as the second squad after their remarkable game. But that's going to be huge for the standings, obviously. Luminosity, if they give us something we saw like game 2, are going to be absolutely propelled forward. But I'll tell you what, I think the lobby has kind of learned their lesson. They now understand if you leave kills on the board, they're just going to take them. So you might as well just start fighting, okay?
Just start throwing hands. It doesn't matter. LG will be there eventually. We do check in with no hands. They might struggle with that little bit of advice, but we'll find out later. They're in Lava Fissure right now, heading up north, and I'm very curious. We got those 2 hard northwest pulls in our first 2 games. Looks like we're close. This looks like a Skyhook zone, Zephyr.
Oh, no. Oh, my God.
3 for 3 with the northwestern zones. What is going on?
Mind you, we get all 3 of the kind of like hyper unique zones. Now, something I do find interesting thing here is like a good part of Skyhook is completely excluded from this zone. There is a very slight end on the central spire, which is where I'm kind of betting this goes. But if not there, this zone could maybe, just maybe, pull back towards the entrance you see there on the east of Skyhook. If it goes towards direct center of Skyhook, this is quite literally one of the rarest zones in Apex Legends, just due to the fact that so many of these buildings are usually not allowed to be in play.
We'll have to see how things shake out. At the very least, Intel and Team Revenant in very good positions here at the start of this game. And then we check in with OPS. They had a little bit of a better showing last game, getting up into, I believe, 11th or 12th place in that last one. They actually grabbed some early KP here. They've hunted down Mike and Ike and taken down one of their members. Meanwhile, Esports Rin nearby, helping them out as Silent has been finished off. So now only 1 member remaining of that Mike and Ike team.
And now here in the center, you'll find Luminosity potentially starting to ramp the beginning of what may become their onslaught. They are pressured back for just a moment. Yanya looking to stick that Phoenix kit before potentially sending this one in for now. This is also a chance, a moment for recovery for at least drops on the backside. Lots of charge rifles here. Oh my gosh, I feel like everyone making this one work for themselves in this moment. All
I gotta say is really, 2 minutes into the game, no kills for LG. L.
Oh,
Such
yeah,
a bad
wow.
game from
What a
them.
bad game.
Yeah, they're really struggling. I don't know what's going on with this squad. They really fell off. Zephyr as Alberlele doing work with that charge rifle that you just
More
mentioned.
charge rifles.
Getting 2 knocks almost back to back right there. And Yanya with this Spitfire on the chase, hunting for these players, was able to get some tags, but not the knocks just yet as Chaos and Flames are done. I believe that is Alberlele and the CLG squad finishing them off. The scan going to come through to catch out these players. And Jaguares really trying to close the gap here.
I believe that this is Ops. This is our triple charge rifle squad. Instead, no. It is, in fact, ESA. A return for 2, but it will be from behind. ESA arriving, sweeps in with what looks to be, yeah, just them in their entirety finishing the job. They may lose out on Phony, but that is a huge loss to this lobby.
Well, it's a huge loss for LG, but a boon, I would say, for the rest of the lobby, because the problem you were in is, again, as we mentioned at the end of last game, with only 2 games left to go, you were running short on time to close those gaps. And with the way that LG performed in Game 2, you don't expect them to go out early in Game 3, which means they're likely to continue to put points on the board. And there were quite a few teams at, 20 to 25 points that could have an opportunity, but we're going to be hard-pressed to do so if LG can keep things rolling. With them going out this early, they maybe picked up a point, maybe 2. I don't know if they got any KP. Now it completely opens the door for those teams at about that 20-point threshold to really close the gap here and give us a very interesting final game of the day.
Yeah. Mind you, Sentinels, they're the squad who pick up the majority of that KP there in the end against ESA. It's Naughty who runs in there with that card to finish the job done. And if you're confused, why am I saying Naughty and then Sentinels? Yeah, it's a chaotic night. It's a chaotic night. Everyone's playing for everybody here.
What
I really like
chaotic,
about that, though,
unfortunate about his retirement.
Yeah, chaotic much as a retirement. What a shame, dude. It's all over.
Really impressive run though by a chaotic with G2.
Yeah.
Truly a legendary
It's a shame.
career in competitive Apex.
Yeah. I will say, I was very excited to see the fact that it wasn't OPS going down there in that moment. I thought it was them getting chased out, and I wanted to pick on them too because, by the way, they are all 3 abusing charge rifles right now, and I don't know if you remember it from the Hot Zone a few weeks ago, but Minus Tempo said his favorite weapon in the game, by hands down, he loves them, is that charge rifle. If he could wield 2, he'd do it here. Meanwhile, for Sentinels, chasing this one down, it's going to be a Rolling Thunder that prevents a little bit of motion, but they still find that break onto the Bloodhound.
Hey, credit where credit's due. Minus Tempo, keeping it on brand. I approve. We'll see how it works out for them because they're actually scrapping now with Mike and Ike. And you remember, Mike and Ike lost one of those members a little while ago, but Wizard Coin battling back. He is able to eliminate Chrono. So that's going to be that squad working down a player here as Sentinels. They're going to throw down the Veil here, and Aiden wants to go in with this car, trying to control the space. Is going to get the beam there onto Kubski, caught in the reload, and Aiden on the push is looking very clean here with this car, looking for the backup from the squad, but Sentinels in a solid spot.
I like the utilization of the Dark Veil there, kind of bobbing, weaving in and out, preventing a good sight line available here, out through the other side, into a knock onto Joey Blackout. 2 major members here of this roster now officially down and out from the bridge. Across, though, Sentinels do take a few shots, at least, that dissuade them from their next rotation forward. It's not the full wipe on this roster, but I don't think it matters at this point. Sen now know, with zone closing in, their next attempts in terms of action are going to have to be getting towards that zone.
Yeah, they're going to do their best here. Teams getting very familiar, I would say, with these rotations today. They're getting very comfortable in Skyhook. Do we get 4 Northwest zones, Zephyr? Do you think we get 4 in a row?
Gosh. No, it's literally improbable.
I mean, I would say 3.
3 is improbable too. I agree. But it's
talk to me about this zone. Do you think this is going to pull center on Skyhook, or are we looking at that more eastern side you were talking about?
You literally cannot end a zone on any one of those buildings that you see in Skyhook because you can't have tiered endings anymore. It's one of the big kind of rules in exclusion zone endings. There is a very kind of like small ring around the entire central Skyhook spire, as well as that train line to the north where you can see this zone end, but it is so tight, and there's a reason why we don't tend to see it. You can see squads. Notice how they aren't kind of in any of those south buildings whatsoever. They know as well. They know that this is going to slowly bridge its way closer to the northern side. And obviously, the biggest spot, the biggest place of advantage for the majority of it is definitely going to be the tower itself, Skyhook Central.
Yep. A lot of teams already in the area trying to just carve out that piece of Skyhook to get them to this late circle opportunity. Right now, Los Carritos, they're hanging out inside of this tunnel that you'll remember last game. Esports Arena and the Sentinels duked it out in here for a while, and it's definitely can be a highly contested part of the map for these northwestern rotations, but Carritos are going to be able to get out of there relatively unscathed. The question will be, which building do they choose, and are they going to have to fight for it? Because as we got to look at that minimap, there are plenty of teams already set up in this area. That scan from Hiraka, though, going to give them a lot of information about where they can find some safety in Skyhook.
I just want to geek out for like 2 seconds.
Yep, do it.
AYM, EMEA, Hiraka, Yuchako, they come from the kick rush, so they have a phenomenal play at champs. They all break up, though, into split one. Hiraka's playing for Scars. Yuchaka, I believe, is over back towards Heroes. It's a complete change for everyone on this team, and it's just like, I know we haven't gotten to see Los Carritos because the performance has been kind of hard, and they're there. They do finish second in our last game, but this is like a reunion that is like, it makes my heart cry. The fact that these two are playing together again. And by the way, there are rumors in the EMEA circuit that they might be getting back together for Split 2.
After Scars' split, I mean, Hiraka will do anything, I imagine.
Yeah, so I'm super excited. Obviously not going to be with Oirin anymore, but I had to bring it up. I had to. If you bring EMEA teams onto a North American broadcast, Zephyr's going to talk about it.
Yep, especially, Zephyr, a huge AIM fan, specifically a big Yuchako fan last year, I know for a fact. So very excited to see them in the mix here tonight. But now we're checking in here with Sentinels, and that's going to be Naughty with a knock, but Joey taking him down in turn, and now it's just up to Aiden here in the 1v2. Is able to get one knock. It's still relatively healthy. This could actually be a nice little clutch up from Aiden. Throws down the little bit of goop here to duke it out. Now they're just crouching around the Nog shields. The throw hands will fall. Aiden clutches up.
I love that. I've not gotten to see a competitive Catalyst 1v1 situation there. Obviously, props to Aiden for pulling off that secondary kill as healthy as he did. Could have gone so much worse there, but that close range scenario with some of the damage with the black kind of goop as
I was like, immediately, I was like, wait, what is that ability called again?
No idea.
It's just goop.
You never see it.
Yep.
I can tell you the alt's Dark Veil here, but for Catalyst right now in this meta, it is a rare oddity to see. But Aiden makes it work here, and the Sentinel Dream carries on. I believe currently the team with the highest KP in this lobby. I mean, we're not talking about a Luminosity game, but hey, 7 is a great place to start, and especially if you rack up that win. We talk about that nice kind of final game where anyone could potentially come out. This would open that up.
Yeah, and I love it too because Sentinel's really running a composition here that just denies so much visibility. And peeking in through the door there, Aiden is going to get cracked. And there comes the ultimate from the opposing horizon, but it isn't going to do a whole lot here. Aiden just going to try and get this battery off and continue damage here. Sentinel's feeling confident this game. They've looked solid so far today, and they really want to get things rolling in this third game. They're already at 30 points, as you can see on your screen, and a big opportunity because, as we mentioned, LG out in this game, randoms as well, so Sentinels can really get some work done here, and they're going to try and chase down these kills. The car from Aiden just dodging around the bullets there from Butters. This is so good from Sentinels.
Yeah, RJ down here, 2 members in Stowe. They've got this building to themselves here, as like we said, they continue to rack up KP in this monumental game. And now the question is, can they beat 26? With currently, you know, a casual 24 teams or 24 players left in the lobby. I mean, it's possible, Yeso. I mean, it is, after seeing Luminosity, potentially more than possible.
I will say possible. Highly improbable, though.
3 zones in Skyhook today.
Yeah, I'm just like, Sentinels, and Sentinels are looking good. This isn't even a knock on Sentinels. This is just, like, mathematically, I'm having a hard time buying that they are going to get 60% of the KP that is remaining in this lobby this late in the game. Because as the zones restrict, everybody's going to be fighting, so you're going to have to pry KP out of other teams that are already scrapping. We'll see what they can do. But CLG here, they've been on that kill feed quite a few times. They've got to deal with Uchako and co, and they're going to go down. Those Carritos survive for the time being at this northwestern edge of this zone. They'll get the res there. Sentinels, meanwhile, just trying to hold things down in this building.
Gosh.
They're in the center of this zone, up in the middle, and they're holding it down. Triple red Evo. Sentinels in a good position.
Yeah, they've got many squads that have lined themselves underneath here. Obviously, pushing in directly can be incredibly hard, and especially with an interceptor pylon like that, your thermite won't do a damn thing. Naughty on the other side, but teams making their way up. It's a huge beam that keeps Sentinels alive, but it's a warning more than that. They know for a fact that there's plenty that can, at any point, push you off for this squad on the interior. No hands. Down in 9th, and what looks like Uchako on a double knock drop. Chrono, KJ, and what might be minus tempo as well.
Yeah, OPS maybe not long for this world here in game number 3. That's going to be the knock onto Tech. Wow, little friendly fire there from Sentinels. Just Naughty going to take him down. And here they come for the full push. That's going to be Decipher gone. Team Revenant are out as Lucky, the final member there to drop. And this means that now they control the center of Skyhook right now. It is going to pull up to that northwestern side of this central tower, but Sentinels in a very strong position, already 13 KP to their name, and they are just a stone's throw from tying up LG going into our final game, and they're going to go up to the high ground. They're going to hunt down Intel here and wipe them out.
Yeah, I must have heard the shots there. I can't quite hear it. Everything's happening across the map, but they pick up 2 KP as a result. They see that final member that drops to the low ground here, and they make the smart decision. They've got height, they've got all of this loot in store, and they know for a fact with zone closing, they're going to be one of the few, if not only, squads who are allowed to play from this direction.
Yeah, they're in a very good spot. They're also just going to have wonderful sight lines here because looking up towards this northwestern edge, as you can see in the zone, there's just a lot of open space, right? There's a few walls and things to play around, but not nearly as much cover on this side of Skyhook, right? If you look on your mini-map, if it pulls further out to that eastern edge, there's a lot more cover for these other teams to work with, but with the way that the zone has played out, Sentinels are in absolutely the best position in the lobby right now, and they are reaping the rewards. KHG is down. Aiden can throw down this utility at will, following it up with the nades to try and just flush these players out of these smokes. And Sentinels, they're looking great right now.
Yeah, that height is so good. Now, obviously, this is the hard part, right? We talk about Spire, how good it is, and the God spot it holds over the majority of how this game finishes out. It's this final moment, though, in this particular unique zone that the height no longer works, right? You lose out on this massive building, and you're forced to drop down and compete against all these other squads who have these kind of fences, boxes, any kind of exposure to play against what will be your obvious appearance here. In 20 seconds, Sentinels, they've got to provide a game plan. They've got to predict a spot, a position to put themselves. You can see that far western slide. They know they got a team below. They might say, let's take it to them first before our drop down.
Wow, they just wipe out Purple Dragon there. And the one thing to note here, and this is something that we saw TSM do in Series Z, in one of the early stages of teams starting to pick up the Catalyst, is the one thing you do get, because this high ground drop can be really punishing for a lot of squads, but the things you get with the Catalyst and with things like the Bangalore is you can actually deny those angles and make it much safer for your team to drop from that high ground, and that's exactly what they do. Dark Veil comes out from Aiden. They deny so much vision from these other teams, which means that they can set up in a perfect position here to get into these fights, and Sentinels, this is their game to lose.
Yeah, I have to say, though, it is still a major situation for squads in return. You have to be really careful with that scan. Aiden is pushed upon. The rest of Sentinels will provide angles, but it ain't enough as Steves is dropped down. This is Los Carritos in their potentially final moments in the smoke with the Digi threat. They'll find damage back as Hiroka is brought down from the other side. The other squad picking off Uchako down to our final 2 squads remaining. Nadi and Xenox with a quick shield swap, but against 3, I don't think they can pull it off.
Nadi gonna try and clutch it up, is gonna get the knock out of turns, but it's not going to be enough. ACOD by AOC sliding in for that late third party. They pick up the kills, they pick up the win here in game number 3.
Still, I have to say, when it comes to Sentinels and that game plan, that gameplay, they had a fantastic result that they could be confident with in their final moments here today. One last game, and you talked about it before we actually got into it. If Luminosity fall, if Randoms fall, it's the perfect opportunity for teams to close the gap. Sentinels do just that.
Yeah, they definitely did, and we will check in with that leaderboard here momentarily, but before we do so, it's our Mobile One high performance moment here for game number 3.
I know it.
Call it, Zeph.
Oh no! I thought it was going to be the Aiden clutch up. Instead, it is obviously another Sentinels play here. It's their rush, their assault onto the interior against none other than previous member himself, Tech here, and that Revenant squad. They make short work, take the building over, and this leads to their dominant position going into the endgame.
Yeah, right. This immediately snowballs into the Team Intel pickup on the high ground. Yep. They follow that, wiping out the last member of KHG from the high ground.
Purple Dragon.
Yeah, unfortunately, they aren't able to get enough to grab the win, but this was just a really good spot of them clearing out this building that they wanted to hold themselves, and they definitively do so. And while it doesn't turn into a win, just due to a couple of unfortunate breaks there in the end game, still a game that could very much compete with that performance from LG in game number 2. But let's see how they're competing on our Mobile One leaderboard here, as Sentinels have grabbed first place here coming into the final game. LG now 7 points back, which is crazy to say after a performance that saw them picking up 26 kills. They're in second place, and they've got some work to do going into our final game. Randoms do, though, round out that top 3 with 36 points, and Los Carritos with a solid performance there, just shy of 30.
Potentially pushing into the top 3, one of my favorite EMEA squads, maybe to usurp Randoms here. They've had the best performance all night between those 4, and what's even crazier is we talk about a 7-point gap in our previous leaderboard between what was LG in the lead, and now it's Sentinels with that same point spread. Obviously, I'm super interested. The final game of the night, and we actually do seriously have a decisive competition here in the end. No one has quite taken the lead yet.
Yeah, and I mean, with the trend that it's been going, it might be a safe bet to say that Sentinels gets wiped early, and then it just opens things up to LG and Randoms. Who knows what happens? All I know is it is going to be a fun finish to the night. Zephyr and I are going to hit a quick break. When we come back, though, our final game of the day. Stick with us. We've got Series E when we come back. down and 1 more to go here tonight on a quick night of Series Z Apex Legends. Yeso and Zephyr back with you as we get ready for our final game. Sentinels charging to the top of our Mobile 1 leaderboard with their performance in that last game. And now LG are the ones that have to make up some ground here. Should be a fun run to the finish, Zephyr. We've gotten some very fun games here tonight. I'm happy about it.
I'll be honest, after everything I have seen today, whether it be Luminosity just absolutely slamming the lobby, Sentinels dominating in their own right, or Randoms and Los Carritos putting up very, very good games respectively, I honestly, it could be anyone else now at this point. I feel like we've gotten a taste of just about everyone, and potentially we're about to take a taste of someone else.
Yeah. Quite possibly. We'll have to see how things shake out. I think it's funny that only one team in our top 4 has won a game so far, right?
Wow.
You look at LG and Sentinels both having those huge performances, but not being able to get the win. Los Carritos getting close a couple of times, not able to grab the win themselves.
Yep.
It's just randoms that have been able to grab the W, but they're still on the outside looking in terms of the cash. They've got some ground to make up here, and we'll see what they can do. But we're on to World's Edge for the final time here today. Big thank you to everybody joining us here. I know it was a little bit of a late drop into the show and into the tournament, and only 4 games, but we appreciate you coming and hanging out and spending your Wednesday night with us here at Series E. We've had a lot of fun, and I think it's going to be a very entertaining finish at the very least.
I love it. It's been literally, I think I haven't casted Series E since maybe August, September, and you guys are like, get your butt over here. We've got some games for you tonight. It's this. It is this.
It was so funny because I came into the office, right? It was kind of short notice because at first I thought there wasn't a show, and then they're like, hey, can you come in? I was like, yeah, like I'm there. I'm on my way. And I come in, and they were talking about like, oh, we might have this person for casting. And I'm checking Twitter, and then, about 15, 20 minutes before we go live, they're like, oh, you're casting with Zephyr. And I was like, Zephyr was just streaming. I was just on Twitter, and Zephyr's asking people to come play Apex with him on stream. And I was like, you know what? That's on brand. He would immediately drop that and just come and cast some Apex. So I was like, he's got Apex on the brain today.
I want you to know I was asking for people to play with so I could play in this ESA tournament.
All right, I'm now mad at them for not getting another caster because I could have been able to throw shade at you about your play on stream today, and now I am unhappy.
Well, we'll see. Meanwhile, for Randoms, they're one of the squads we've had the delight to watch. They've lost on Mercy only. I like this. The trap with the micro drone scan. Enemy go with the follow through. It's a shield swap, but it doesn't matter. Esoteric, one of your first squads eliminated here in what seems to be a little bit of a reduced lobby.
Yeah, a couple teams bowing out here late. Don't blame them at all. Okay, we're not going to the Northwest.
Okay.
Give me a thermal finish. We may get we get one of Zephyr's favorites. If we get thermal, it's one of mine. We'll see.
Right.
But yeah, for the first time today, all the zones hanging out on the western edge of the map for sure. But we aren't going to be ending in or around Skyhook this time around. It's down towards Tree and Thermal Station, and CLG already getting down there, as well as you can see our winners from Game 3. Aegon, they're rotating out of Tree towards the south side of Thermal Station for the time being.
Okay, yeah. I will say it's that very specific building that you see them currently taking where this zone can totally end, right? Thermal Station doesn't happen to be that direct POI that we currently see. It obviously splits separately, and you're going to get teams there, but the fact that it leaves so much of the eastern side of Thermal into even the cusp of Tree leads me to believe that we're going to be going towards the other side of this fissure. And I know we had our disagreements about our favorite zones when we were talking about the hot zone, but I will say, if it is over towards Thermal, I love it when it's on the southeastern side. I love unique zones. I like things that are a little bit more rare, and this is definitely one of them.
Yeah, that southeastern side is really interesting because you get a lot of interesting verticality around the cliffs and different sight lines. Of course, there's a couple of buildings sprinkled around over there, but there's also a lot of really good sight lines in the area. And I think Yanya has found one of their own, is immediately going to jump pad, flying in with the R301 and Prowler. in his pocket to hunt down this player. Can't see much through the smokes
Lost.
there, but at the very least, on the hunt for this player, looking for some early KP, and that is going to be a knock coming through there for Yanya. They are going to finish off Whirlpool.
And obviously, 2 other residual members. You see that exhibit down from the other side. There is at least 1 teammate on the southern height here in launch site that are going to see if they can try to take advantage of those angles. But if we know Luminosity, we know their aggression, we know the caliber of play of this roster. They've spotted out this solo member. They spy them in the sky, and they've already found a massive crack, a drop onto Ridge, and with what I believe is, yes, a Valkyrie behind the boxes. There's no saving. There's no saving.
Nope. All done here. LG continuing that aggressive play style. They're still running that Octane Pathfinder Bloodhound composition that turned in 26 KP for them in game number 2. Meanwhile, CLG, this is a team that has been pretty quiet in terms of placement today, but every time I turn around, Alb is in the kill feed, and that's why CLG are sitting at 29 points right now, and they're looking to keep that rolling. They have found one of these squads, and they're looking to get some early KP of their own.
Ooh. This is kind of those angles we talk about, the height that CLG are trying to keep in their control with a drop onto Jet. It might lead to more. It's going to be that full wipe, at least onto Flinzar. It's actually, I believe, just a single residual member here of Intel likely to find their way back towards Tree just to kind of hang around and potentially survive. I highly doubt, given the proximity of where this zone is going to end, that they're able to get that recovery.
Yeah, there were 2 on the run, and it looks like they finished a knock, or got a knock on another one, and can finish that KP here very quickly. Yeah, they are going to be able to finish this one off.
No problem.
So it is, as you mentioned, that 1 remaining member as Jet is going to fall. So we'll see what Intel can get done there. Maybe they can sneak some banners through and get those reses. But we check back in with Sentinels in first place right now and looking to avoid that curse that has plagued a bunch of teams so far today with those great games followed by early exits. And Mike and Ike, who have really struggled so far today, are duking it out here with Sentinels, and that's going to be MJ going down, finished off by Naughty.
And Naughty here, obviously going to maybe potentially pay the price, but with a quick response, it's going to be this last kind of 1v1 situation. Double crack here. Silent immediately launched upon here by that last remaining member. Aiden, once again, clutching it up here for the Sentinels roster. Meanwhile, that kill feed, Los Carritos, keeping it up to date, staying competitive in the KP. They found a drop onto our OPS squad.
Yeah, and a very important start there from LG because, or from Sentinels, I should say, because LG have come out swinging. They want to keep this squad at bay. But there is LG finding more KP. That's Estevez going down, and they're just going to throw out these nades. The Bangalore ultimate as well is really going to choke up this choke point. And I think that means LG may just signal for the patient play here. They're going to wait for that Rolling Thunder to come through, and now they're going for the chase. We talked about it earlier. They've got the composition to do it. And interestingly enough, if you'll remember back to the start of Game 2, this is where they were scrapping it out in and around Geyser and No Name. They chased down multiple different squads in the area, and they're looking to do it once again here in Game 4.
I just want to, like, I know macro and micro picks are not, like, super huge, but the gold shield on Yanya to give the hyper healing so he can continue to just, like, go faster and faster. I love that niche decision, and it allows him to catch up right behind here, straight into the Geyser, chasing down what might be that last member of either Los Carritos or potentially OPS. It's hard to tell which one is left standing here in the end, but they've got sight lines straight on the zip line. It's Uchako who falls here. Looks like Haraka, potentially that last remaining member, somewhere, hopefully far, far away.
Yeah, good little point you make talking about giving the gold shield to the Octane. Just a little bit of that min-max that if you think about can really, you can just get more value out of that Octane, right? You can play more aggressively with that stim if you have that on you, and we'll see how it works out. Meanwhile, Chrono, the final remaining member here of OPS, but actually just able to get that respawn through, but I think they might go right back down. Minus tempo really low. LG getting an extra little gift of KP courtesy of the OPS squad. That's going to be minus Tempo quickly eliminated here, and kill leader over to who else but Yanya.
I have to say, this is a sorry sight potentially for the rest of this lobby. The fact that Luminosity are already ramping to this degree can be at least worrisome, especially for squads like Sentinels, who are still well within this lobby, who, yes, they picked up their own KP, but they need to stay competitive. Now, obviously, with Luminosity being kind of undefensive with that kind of hard edge composition, they could pay the price, go down early, not get the placement that they need. But I feel like you can't leave it up to that. This is a lobby that Sentinels knows they can capitalize on for the win.
Yeah, and this was, you know, an opportunity for teams like Randoms and maybe one or two more to maybe make that miracle run in game number 4, have a performance like we've seen from Sentinels and LG today, and have that magic in the last game of the day. But with the way things have started for Sentinels and LG, it just feels like a two-horse race at this point. The question is not who can get into the top 2, but who of the top 2 will finish in first, because they have both looked on point here to start the final game of the day. We check in, though, with this Randoms team, looking to get over 40 points right now, and they're on this western edge of that thermal station kind of southern area, and Team Revenant out, so tech good. Done for the day.
Nice exhibit down. That's going to give them clear information. They know they've pulled back towards the Spire for a second beam. A micro drone scan, I mean, that is a prime opportunity. Lay it in there. They're going to be pushed back by none other than a Maggie drill. But with that tactical down, the mobile shield working its way in, I mean, they are slowly picking this squad apart. The Valkyrie to take towards the ceiling, but throw hands, they don't last much longer.
I was honestly wondering if maybe there was a little ledge or shelf up there that last Valkyrie could maybe get on top of for a cheeky little peek at the top of the building. Never gotten up there. I don't play Valkyrie, so I wasn't sure. But ultimately, throw hands are done. That is more KP there for the side of Randoms. They will cross that 40-point threshold as we check back in with CLG.
Well, we know for a fact that they were at least leveling control on height last time we checked into them, and they've opted to now take it to the low ground, right? They've spotted out a team, obviously, here in the tracks, and they want to rack up KP themselves, maybe stay competitive, push for that top 3. A Nox gas grenade down. They've already found Flesh on, what looks to be Finzar, but a third party, Jaguares, Yanya, the Luminosity boys arrive in style, and they eliminate CLG, and now what might be intel here too.
Yeah, I mean, who else could it have been? All the rotational power, all the aggressive instinct that this LG squad has. Of course, they're the third party that comes in and just wipes out CLG. They're going to clean up 2 of these members that were remaining here for the side of Team Intel. And now LG right neck and neck with Sentinels here in this final game. Yanya having a wonderful performance. And they're likely not, yes, Zephyr, I think mathematically they could surpass their performance from Game 2. Unlikely to happen, but really all LG cares about at this point is first place, and they're certainly playing like it.
Now, there's money to be won here, boys. There's prizing on the table.
Brother.
And Luminosity, they're not going to let this one slip. When they have found the opportunity, they turn right round. The final member of OPS, it is KJ, can't hide away.
Zephyr's Inner Texan has come out here on Series E. Let's see, they've found another squad up in the second floor of this building. Enemigo trying to get a little bit of an angle there through that window, and they are going to be able to take out that pylon. And this means that the push much safer here for Randoms. They can just lay in whatever grenades they have, and that's going to be a thermite just ticking away here. It's going to be followed up by the ultimate for the Nox gas grenade, and this should be just easy pickings. Purple Dragon's done. Randoms get those kills, and they're going to stay alive.
By the way, some of the biggest names in this lobby literally competing up into the end here. Luminosity, Randoms, Sentinel, all together here to potentially best it out. Now, I do want to pull this one back. It was not a Texan reference, okay? That's not my Texan accent. That was supposed to be Hulk Hogan, okay?
Whatever. A little bit of country mixed in there. I don't know. I'm a sheltered suburb boy from Southern California.
I'll tell you what, if we're going to cast a little bit country, this is what it sounds like. This is my very real accent out here in Texas. A little southern slowdown here, but doesn't look like things are pacing any other way but fast here. A lickety-split move with Yanya into the sky. An arc star down to potentially punish what could be the end of randoms. Make it 2 right on the interior. A crack found here. The gas is ticking, but the flesh is found. Yanya will drop, but it's not before Jaguarez on the other side at least eliminates Crummy, and they'll force their way in the minute they know they have an advantage. Enemy Go pays the price in randoms here, eliminated in 6th.
There it is. Chat, you're welcome for that. LG, they're up at now 62 points. It appears that they have retaken first place from Sentinels, and we haven't checked in with that Sentinel squad in a little bit. They've cooled down here in this game, and that might be the reason why. Senox is done. They're at 4 KP so far. Still an opportunity for Sentinels, but it looks like they're 4 points back. Just 4 squads remaining. This is going to be a very tight finish for these two teams. Can Sentinels pull out a miracle here in the end? The opportunity is there. And also, we have to mention that Aiden, I think Yanya, best player we've seen so far tonight. Best performance, in terms of a singular player here in this event through 3 games of change. In my opinion, Aiden has been second best. The Catalyst has been so good today. It was very impressive in game number 3. And the fact that Aiden is still alive, that means Sentinels have a shot here.
Yeah, I love the fact that even though there are 4 squads left in this lobby, I mean, we know for a fact all of them, if not what is that kind of mix here between Sentinels and Los Carritos, are, down on their last legs. There's only one other full trio outside of Luminosity, and they're on the outskirts of Thermal Station POI Direct. We know this zone pulls back towards Blues. We know it heads over towards the east side. Aegon by AOC has the most critical role here in deciding the fate of these two teams, and it might be a redeploy.
It might be. And Aegon by AOC having a quietly solid performance tonight. They were our winners in Game 3. They're in the top 4 here in our final game of the day. This is a team needing to put points on the board this season, looking to defend their championship, because if you'll remember, as Team Nerf, they were our champions last season, and turns in the squad in the mix here once again. But it is Luminosity's game to lose here once again. They couldn't get the W in Game 2, but plenty of KP. They've done it again here with 16 so far. They're in a very strong position, but that is going to be Sentinels caught out by Aegon by AOC, and this might be the end of their night.
Already eliminated before we can even call it out here. Sentinels down in 4th. Now, we know they had more points than Luminosity, but with their current KP and the fact that they still exist in the game, it might mean that their dreams are done. Aegon by AOC, Luminosity, the last 2 full 3s, and obviously a singular rat in Los Carritos, Hiraka, hiding on that low ground. It turns, I was about to say, have heartbeat sensor. They know he's there.
Yep. This should be it. Now it's just going to be the straight 3v3 between Aegon and Luminosity. And what Turns is trying to do right now is keep the teammates safe right now and avoid this quick third-party push. He wants to keep LG at bay until his team can get the reset, and actually is able to do so. LG are not able to come in for the full push, and Aegon by AOC with a bit of a breather and a huge tick there from that Arc Star. And now Aegon are the teams trying to hit the go button. Is Yanya trying to find some safety?
But stability, the minute they walk forward, they're punished. And this is the Evo difference that we see. Jaguars and Neos, they were the ones that weren't hit. And a gold shield is an immediate recovery when we talk about Luminosity right now. For Aegon, they do have a space within this next zone pull, but in terms of how much angles, especially like this from Yanya, that Luminosity have, I mean, it is a complete and utter advantage here for this roster. Niesel and Jaguar is already starting to posture forward here. They have the confidence on top of the damage that they've continually found, even though Aegon has found reset.
Yeah, And this is just a smart play by LG here, right? They have the strong position. They know that Aegon has to come to them eventually. So they just play time. They play patiently and just get these peaks whenever they can. Even if Aegon goes for a Valkyrie redeploy, which I don't think they have a Valkyrie in their squad. I didn't quite check last time around. Hard to track all of these squads, but even if they were to go for a redeploy over top, LG are still in a wonderful position to beam them as they come down for the landing. So really LG playing this exactly the way you want to. Patient, slow, and just making Aegon come to them.
Yan obviously kind of losing out on that hide angle, looking for better pastures here. Obviously with those pills as well, not the best source of cover. Stability, yes, will get that bat off. I don't know how many heals he has available because I currently haven't seen anything stuck yet, but there it is, that final medkit. And with height traded out with Niesel on top, turns... I mean, we're just counting. It's a constantly big damage found. What could be that first knock? The go button for Luminosity. For the first moment ever, though, in the last minute, Niesel does take a huge chunk, but I don't think it's enough. They're constantly choking their resources here.
Yeah, the only thing is that LG starting to run down maybe a little bit on ammo. You see this R301 for Yanya has a clip left. Could be sitting on a good bit of heavy ammunition for that car. Even Niesel as well running out about a clip, two clips and change here. So they really have to get value out of it, but they do. Jaguars doesn't miss. Kicks is down. Satiability quickly follows. Turds done as well. And LG get their win, and they're going to get that first place finish here tonight with a wonderful end of the day.
And, I mean, you talked about it, Ye. So right before we got into it, we discussed how out of the 4 squads in the lead, only 1 had walked away with a victory. And honestly, after that 26-kill game from Luminosity, I felt like a win to kind of wrap things up is such a nice way to end Series E tonight. They deserve it.
Yeah, it really feels like the only way we could have ended tonight there in LG with 2 really impressive games here tonight. The win here in Game 4 is just the icing on the cake as they grab their win. But let's check out our final Mobile One high-performance moment here for tonight's competition. We've had quite a few highlights to look at here, but it is going to be this third party from LG. We saw CLG setting up, trying to gatekeep intel inside of this tunnel, but as soon as they go for the push, they realize they are not quite alone. They get the knock on the Flinzar, but LG is on their way.
And this was LG's actually first approach into the zone after playing Edge here. This is where they shifted gears after taking this successful fight and then began what was going to be their path towards their win in the final game here.
Yeah, so just really well played, and that's one of the biggest things for me for this LG squad tonight was their timing was so good. The third parties on point. They came into these scraps and cleaned them up very quickly. So not only was the tempo very up for this team today, but they were picking the right times to speed up, slow down, go into these engagements, and back away. And it's a big reason why they had 2 very impressive performances and why they finish in first place. Let's take a look at how things shook out in the end on our Mobile One leaderboard. No surprise to see LG up top with 73 points. Sentinels do, though, finish in second, but they couldn't get it done there in Game 4 to keep LG at bay.
I was about to say, we were questioning if it was close. It doesn't even look like they ever had a chance here. Sentinels only accumulating off of that game 9 points. Even though, yes, they survive upwards of into that top 5, right? They still didn't really have the KP to compare. It was a huge game for Luminosity. They jump up from 42 to 73. That alone, a 31-point game.
You're going to be hard pressed to top a 26 kill performance. They almost did. In terms of your overall points, that was a very impressive showing to end the day. LG picking up over 64 points in just 2 of the games today. Jeez. Right? So that's 64 of the 73 points that they scored today. Just in
2 games.
2 games. So LG with a hell of a performance today and a hell of a show. Zephyr, that was That was fun. That was a spicy 4 games.
It's not often that we get to have this kind of, I guess, games to take place. Luminosity displayed a completely different level of what makes them as good as they are, right? I mean, this is not just a North American Pro League team. This is a squad that is on a global scale one of the best.
Very talented, and I look forward to seeing them, showcase that talent on land, because that's really where you get to set yourselves apart, right? This was an impressive performance and a really good day from them, but nobody is going to be, really highlighting this specific performance because a few teams less in the lobby and the quality, not quite as good, right? This is not 40 of the best Pro League teams from all across the world, and we get that, but I think you see shades of what LG can do when they are on their game, and we really hope that they can bring that onto land, because I'm right there with you. I think when they play their game to the best of their ability, they can do these kinds of things in those caliber of lobbies, and I really hope we get to see it very soon. I'm looking forward to it. Zephyr, thank you so much for kind of jumping on a grenade here and sliding into Cast of Apex with me, my friend. I hope you enjoy your games tonight if you go and hop on. But for the rest of you folks, thanks so much for coming and hang out with us. A reminder, we wrap up the week with Guilty Gear Strive tomorrow night and Multiverses on Series E on Friday, so don't miss out on that. But for myself, Zephyr, the entire live broadcast crew, and everybody hit Esports Arena, have a wonderful rest of your night, and we'll see you again tomorrow.